All right, guys, so I got my drip rails and my front bumper on the stand. I've already sanded it. They're pretty much ready for paint. I had to go out and run a little errand. When I came back, I had this sitting on my door. First, I was a bit confused as to what it was. I've never seen anything packaged like this. This is almost like a tarp sort of thing. I'm not really sure exactly what this fabric is because it doesn't feel like anything I've ever experienced. Of course, if we look at the tag, came from the Russian Federation. So once I saw that, I know what this is. It's something I've actually been waiting about 4 months for. And it just so happens that the timing on this was perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and get this unwrapped for you, show you what this is. Got some string on here. Look at my new 31.5-inch TV from Telefunken. I'm waiting on this thing. I've heard great reviews about this. Like, no, I'm just joking. I'm sure he just couldn't find anything else to fit it in. And as long as everything is in one piece, I am happy. You can't tell already what these are. Good thing is we got a ton of bubble wrap on here. But what these are your JDM fender flares for the Galant. Now you can see they say Legend on them, which is like the wagon version of the Galant overseas. Now unfortunately he didn't have the complete set, or not at the time. He had actually already sold the complete set because they do have little end caps that go in the back that kind of complete the look of these. But these are getting increasingly hard to find, and they should add a little bit of flair to the Galant. We can get one of these cut open. So you can see them, they're not super thick. They should add about an inch or so to the width of the Galants and allow me to run a little bit wider tire with a better offset in the future. And of course, this is perfect timing, like I said, because I just painted the car the other day. I'm about to paint the drip rails and the front bumper today or here in the next couple days. So, of course, this means that I won't have to mix up any more paint. And I can just respray these along with everything else and I can be done with the car. They don't appear to be in too bad a condition. Of course, I can inspect them further once I get them on tape. But let's just do a quick mock-up. So that is basically what we're going to be looking at. As you can see, the wheel is look like it's tucking in quite a bit now. Whereas before, they sat almost flush. So these will add like another inch or so. And you can see here down here at the end, there's supposed to be a little cap that goes on it. But these will look real good. But I definitely need some spacers or a wider tire here in the front. And definitely in the back, which is already tucking. I'm definitely excited that these showed up. And like, so I will say, of course, the product did get here. It did take 4 months. Not really his fault. It's really more of on the shipping company. And of course, coming from overseas, I know things haven't still quite gotten back to normal yet. But when I reached out to the guy about it, because at some point when it didn't show the tracking, he was just really rude about it. Like, he was just really rude. And I understand his English is a little broken, and I'm okay with that. I've dealt with people overseas in different countries, and I appreciate the fact that you can learn 2 different languages. That's not something a lot of people can do. But with that said, the fact that he started cursing when I was inquiring about what happened with a previous product that I ordered from him, we didn't appreciate that, obviously. Because basically, we had something, of course, it took a few months to get here, caught up at the post office somehow, where they ended up delivering it to the wrong address, or tried to deliver it to the wrong address. Then it got sent back to him. Of course, I asked for a refund. He didn't like it. He says, you know, it's your fault. He kept trying to blame me for it. Said, you need to figure out what's going on with your post office. They couldn't tell me anything. And at the end of the day, they actually sent it back to him. So that's what happened with that. So full disclosure on that. I'm not going to post his name out there, but again, if you look on eBay for JDM Galant parts, you'll see this guy. He's in Russia. I'm pretty sure he's the only one in Russia selling these parts at the moment. Probably 8 months went by. 8 months to a year went by, and I decided, because I saw these, I was like, you know, let me try again. And keep in mind, at this point, he had never given me a refund. So I decided to try again and ask him about these. I'll say, hey, you know what? I never got my parts, never got my refund, but you have something else that I want. Can you apply that credit to these parts, and then I'll just buy that from you? Of course, at this point, he had calmed down. He's much more rational. Decided, hey, you know what? I do remember that. I know you never got your refund, so I'll go ahead and lower the price on these. and then you just pay the difference, because these were actually a little more expensive than the other thing I had ordered. So again, that's just my feedback on that. Again, I'm not going to bash them because I did get my parts, and I understand when you're buying things from overseas, especially from Russia, it's not like it's coming from Canada or Mexico. It's going to take a long time. Now, I didn't expect it to take 4 months, but it is what it is. I'm happy the parts got here. They looked like being one tax, so I'm going to go ahead and get these scuffed and cleaned up and get them painted, then we can get them put on the car. Okay, so to mount them, I'm going to use a combination of some Gorilla double-sided tape. And I don't know whether or not these screws are going to line up with anything, because of course this is a factory part, but this is not made for the USDM Galant. Now I think they should be the same. I know there are some differences with the Galants from overseas, but I believe the fenders are the same, so we will see. All right guys, so I guess I accidentally deleted part of my footage. So full disclosure, this part is filmed quite a bit later than the rest of it, but I was just test fitting the fender flares. So also traveled up to Pennsylvania to pick up a couple parts. I got a new hood, which is, if you notice, is why I didn't paint it when I painted the car originally, because I had already had this set up. This is the monster style hood. It is carbon fiber. And I also got the trunk to go along with it. So really excited about this pickup, especially with the fact that I didn't actually have to pay for these, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and cut back to the original clip so you guys continue watching. All right guys, so now that you've seen the hood, I do want to go over just a couple things. Of course, this hood is used, if you couldn't immediately tell. I drove a total of about 13.5 hours up to Pennsylvania and ended up filling my truck up twice just to pick these parts up. But this is the hood that I really wanted on this car. I like the way it looks. Again, I like the Evo hood as well, but again, I don't want this to look like an imitation Evo. Right, I'm just kind of doing my own thing with it. Now, you don't have a huge selection anyway. It's pretty much this one, the Evo, or like an OEM hood. You can see it does have a bit of a cowl. You do have like a 2-inch cowl on it, so it does raise it up quite a bit. Of course, you have this massive vent on the top, like, which should act like a heat extraction. You know, as heat rises up and the air passes over the top of it, it should help pull some of that extra heat out, because the turbo engine bay does get real hot. Of course, it's got the vent over here, and this is more of a scoop actually. That happens to be right above where my intake filter is. And this hood is actually in pretty good shape. Of course, it's not perfect, but this is a really old hood. The guy said it was sitting underneath the tree for a while. So that's actually what all these white spots are. These are actually, this is just tree sap. Like, if you dig your finger into it, it will come up, but it is pretty sticky. I'll probably go ahead and wet sand it and then re-clear coat it once I get it fitted right. So right now, I've already done a little bit to the hood. Of course, as you can see, it is already mounted, but it's not quite even. It hasn't been completely adjusted yet. Then of course, we need to mount our hood pins. Of course, that's what these holes here are for. So now the reason you need hood pins is because this hood is actually so light that your factory latch won't hold it down by itself, and it could fly up and then crack your windshield and cause an accident. If you're gonna get a fiberglass hood or carbon fiber hood or whatever, you're gonna need hood pins. So fortunately, you know, with this being a used hood, it already has some holes in it that go all the way through. So I'm actually going to use those as my guide for drilling my new ones. Now, before I go to install mine, of course, I want to get the hood, get this gap right. I've got like a 1/2-inch gap on this side and a little bit less than that on this side. So I'm going to get this lined up, of course, before I go to get my pins to stick through the hood. So for hood pins, I actually go with these Arrow Catch hood latch. Of course, these are real popular. These pretty much sit flush in the hood, you know, and allow you to open the hood pretty easily. You know, that's pretty stealthy look. One thing I really don't like about these is that these are pretty big. So you can see this is like the old style hood pin, which is really just, you know, about a 3-inch circle with a pin that goes through it, and then you put like a cotter pin or some safety wire, whatever it is, through the top of it. It holds the hood down. It does work, but I really don't like the way those look. This did have it. I went ahead and took those off. The only thing I really don't like about these is that they are kind of big. You can see with this old style how much bigger these really are. So you have to cut away more of the hood. But I do prefer the flush look, and hopefully these will work for me. Now granted, these are plastic. These entire thing is plastic, so you do want to keep that in mind as well. Now you notice it does have a little keyhole in it. I didn't buy the locking ones on purpose. These were actually Amazon return from Amazon that I bought, and they're pretty much brand new. Everything came in the package They don't look used. I guess somebody bought these and decided to go with another option, and they returned it. So I actually got these used for less than the cost of the new ones without the latch. That's the only reason. I don't really plan on locking this thing up, but you know, I have those. Alright, so when you go to install the hood, unfortunately it's not a direct swap. There is some things that need to be done, at least on these older hoods. I'm not sure if they changed it in recent history after they got some feedback, but I'll just go ahead and show you guys. So sort of open. So the first thing, if you notice, this hood has actually been cut right here. They cut the fiberglass frame. And the reason that was done was to clear the strut towers. So these hoods were modeled after the JDM Galants, which on those cars, the strut towers are actually in a different place. Which is why if you want or you see a strut bar from an 8th gen JDM Galant, like a VR4, it actually won't fit this car, but it will fit the 7th generation Galant, the USDM one. So that's a little fun fact for you. So you do have to trim the hood, again, at least on these older models. I'm not sure if that's different, just to clear that. So it's unfortunate you got to cut your brand new hood if you get a brand new hood, but it's really no big deal. It's not really structural. Like I said, you just have 4 bolts. There's 2 on each side. This piece right here is also just hanging down. I'm not sure how I'm going to fix that exactly, but I'll figure something out. It has these little metal clips that look like they're glued onto the bottom side of the hood. It does seem to clear the strut tower bar, so that's good. So there's one thing though. You see these hoods online. They're $700, anywhere from $500 to $700 for like the carbon fiber version. But these really aren't carbon fiber hoods. So of course you can see the carbon fiber weave, but this is really an overlay of just a fiberglass hood. So if you look closely, I'm not sure if the camera's gonna pick this up. The carbon fiber part actually stops about right here. So they did wrap it around the edges. So the first thing you see, it looks like it's carbon fiber all the way under it, but it actually stops about right in here. And the rest of this is just fiberglass. Now I do want to weigh the hood just so I can give you guys a comparison, but I'm pretty sure this hood is like 20 to 30 pounds lighter than the original hood. It doesn't weigh much. I could easily move this hood around by myself. And the same thing for the trunk. Now I did weigh the trunk. The trunk is 13.5 pounds, which is about 10 pounds lighter than the stock trunk. So again, it's a lot lighter than the factory one. And the problem that actually causes, it has those arms on either side. Is those arms are too strong for the hood. So I actually took those tension rods off. Let me show you guys that. I really just cut them in half and pulled them out. But of course, the bad thing with that is now your hood or your trunk doesn't stay up by itself. So I do plan on getting some trunk struts to hold this thing up. So this is really just more of a convenience piece. But as you can see, it just has 4 bolts. You do have a harness that runs through it. Like now I actually drilled the hole in this myself. You can see they have a spot for you to cut it out, because on the factory trunk, that's what that is, where the wires push through. So I'm not sure how the guy before me did it, but I went ahead and drilled the hole and just ran through and connected everything. So with those bars installed, it actually pushes the trunk up, like I said, but it also, when you unlatch the trunk goes flying up. And I feel like if it had done that enough, it would probably break the bottom side of the trunk. This fit pretty well. You didn't have to cut anything outside of that one little hole for the harness. Like, so yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm really happy I got this hood. I wasn't planning on buying a hood at this time. I was really just focused on getting the car painted, which I think came out pretty well. If you haven't seen that video, make sure you check it out. I use a Speedo Coat line of products. It came out pretty good, even with the Harbor Freight stuff. A little bit of orange peel, but nothing too crazy. I am going to sand and buff this. Like I said, I wasn't planning on buying a carbon fiber hood, but the opportunity came up. I just had to drive 6.5 hours up to PA to get this. I'm really happy I got it. It's in pretty good shape. So like I said, once I get this thing cleared up, resanded and cleared, we'll see how this thing looks. But it's going to completely transform the look of this car. Now I just got to make sure that this is going to stand up to all the attention that this is probably going to get now. All right, so that's really it, guys. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe button so you can keep up with the build of the Galant and the Integra. Have a great day.